The question is that there shall be an early parliamentary general election. Mr. Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We welcome the opportunity of a general election because it gives the British people the chance to vote for a Labour government that will put the interests of the majority first. The Prime Minister says she's only recently and reluctantly decided to go for a snap election. Just 4 weeks ago, the Prime Minister's spokesperson said, and I quote, "There isn't going to be an early general election." How can any voter trust what the Prime Minister says? Mr. Speaker, Britain is being held back by her government. The Prime Minister talks about a strong economy, but the truth is most people are worse off than they were when the Conservatives came to power 7 years ago. The election gives the British people the chance to change direction. This election is about her government's failure to rebuild the economy and living standards for the majority. It is about the crisis her government has plunged our National Health Service into. The cuts to our children's schools, which will limit the chances of every child in Britain, 4 million of whom now live in poverty. A chance of an alternative to raise living standards, as more and more people do not have security in their work or over their housing. I give way to my friend, the member for Stoke-on-Trent.
Which one? Oh,
Mr. Gareth Snell.
go, Gareth. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I try not to take it personally that having arrived so early, the Prime Minister is that desperate to get rid of me, she's calling an election. But what I would say, my honourable friend, would my honourable friend agree that the Prime Minister, in calling this election, has essentially said she doesn't have confidence in her own government to deliver a Brexit deal for Britain? And one way she could secure the votes of me and my honourable friends is to table a motion of no confidence in her own government, which I will happily vote for.
I thank my friend for that intervention. I congratulate him on his election to this House, and I congratulate him on his work, and I agree with him. I have no confidence in this government either. Well, in the interests of unity in Stoke-on-Trent, what else can I do?
There's 5 towns, don't forget.
Six. I'm grateful to my right honourable friend. He highlighted the fact that the Prime Minister, for 12 months, dithered over whether she would want an election and all the time said she didn't want one. But isn't the reality that what has focused her mind is the fact that she may well lose some of her backbenchers if the CPS have their way?
I thank my friend for that intervention. The timing of the election and the role of the CPS is, of course, extremely interesting in this, and it's interesting the Prime Minister did not mention it during her contribution. Mr. Speaker, I give way to the gentleman here.
I'm most grateful to the Leader of the Opposition to give way. He talks about trust in leaders. What trust can the public put in a leader who has no confidence from his parliamentary colleagues and is in place by people who are not in Parliament but from people who are outside?
Mr. Speaker, I was elected leader of my party by 300,000 votes. I don't know how many people voted for the Prime Minister to be leader of her party. I suspect it was actually none whatsoever. So, Mr. Speaker, to the 6 million people working in jobs that pay less than the living wage, I simply say this: it doesn't have to be like this, because Labour believes that every job should pay a wage you can live on, and every worker should have decent rights at work. To the millions of people who can't afford a home of their own or have spent years waiting for a council home, this is your chance to vote for the home your family deserves. Because we believe a housing policy should provide homes for all, not investment opportunities for a few. To the millions of small businesses fed up with red tape of quarterly reporting, hikes in business rates, broken promises on national insurance contributions, this is your chance to vote for a government that invests and that supports wealth creators, not just the wealth extractors. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister says she's called the election so the government can negotiate Brexit. We had a referendum that established that mandate. Parliament has voted to accept that result. There is no obstacle to the government negotiating. But instead of getting on with the job, she's painting herself as the prisoner of the Lib Dems, who apparently have threatened to grind government to a standstill. Mr. Speaker, there are 9 of them, and they managed to vote 3 different ways on Article 50. So it's obviously a very serious threat indeed. The Tories want to use Brexit to turn us into a low-wage tax haven. Labour will use Brexit to invest in every part of this country, to create a high-wage, high-skill economy in which everyone shares the rewards. The Prime Minister also says, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister also says this campaign will be about leadership. So then let's have a head-to-head TV debate about the future of our country. Why has she rejected that request? Labour, Mr. Speaker, Labour offers a better future. We want richer lives for all, not a country run for the rich.